Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
In a bitter aftertaste of the youth elections, to rethink and re-strategize ahead of 2026. Major Kwiraboni, you had a submission to rebut the comments of Honorable Saleh.
It's 2 points only. One is that politics is about organization, organization, organization. If you don't organize, if you do not plan, you face the consequences. It's like battle. He knows. You assess the situation, mission, execution, admin and logistics, command and signals, organization and planning. If you don't do that tedious work of organizing from grassroots to the top, and you stay in urban areas, you know, working among the elite, election losses will continue to happen for the opposition. That's number one. Number two is that the national resistance movement emphasis on young people started a long time ago. We both joined as teenagers. I was in senior 5, I think he was in O-level. And we fought for democracy.
He was a Kadogo. Paula was a Kadogo.
Paula was a Kadogo.
Yes.
We fought for democracy.
I have memories of that picture when he was shaking hands.
You mean the street youth?
No, so he was a Kadogo. He was.
Where were Kadogos manufactured?
He must have been 12.
So
child soldier.
A child soldier, yes.
Okay.
If you look at the way we fought and the people who commanded us, our senior commanders were all in their 20s, most of them. Mzee was the one who was in his early 40s.
These were delinquents. We are talking about delinquents.
But we waged a guerrilla war and we won. We captured state power. We stabilized the country. We defeated insurgencies. Very, very young people, but phenomenal fighters. And then we set up a constituent assembly. We promulgated the constitution. We created institutions. We built an economy. We provided infrastructure. We now have international recognition as a country. All these achievements were made through mobilization of young people.
What Mwanga Chivumbi said when he went to China?
So
how they perceive Ugandans?
No, you know, the group of 77 plus China is chaired by Uganda. The non-aligned movement is chaired by Uganda. Uganda has been a stabilizing force in the Great Lakes region. We have a contingent in Somalia. We have been stabilizing Southern Sudan. We are in the Congo. And in these elections, all those deployments outside Uganda will stay, and we will have peace and security. We will conduct a general election, and we will win, and we will continue stabilizing the country. All these are achievements of the young people of Uganda.
Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, what do we see next? And where does the opposition now have to look if 2026 is going to be an election worth talking about?
And now I would like to correct your narrative, and you have repeated it since we came here. And it's very, very important for media to call things who they are. Madame Musumba is a woman. I'm a man. So are these other two. So you can't refer to as, you know, the human being. Now, you have consistently said the opposition lost.
Yes.
No, there was a fraud.
Okay.
Why do you want to pronounce yourself on a loss, not on a fraud?
Okay.
That's the immorality
what
in
would I
this
say?
country. No,
NRM took
that's
the
a
day.
level of
NRM took the
immorality.
day.
That's a level of immorality. How we have descended is that for you, you are not willing to pronounce fraud. You are willing to pronounce a loss.
Yeah, but will you pick my record that I said there were irregularities?
No. You have consistently watched you.
No, because what we are interrogating are the irregularities.
No, the thing is, we would want you to say, this is a fraud. That's why we start from unacceptability and acceptability. Now, if you have no distinction between that two, then you are lacking. And the country, that's why we are being taken for granted by NRM. Because be it religious leaders, be it media, be it civil, we fail to give names for what things are. You witness fraud, you call it a loss.
Okay.
So
if I say, for your benefit,
yes.
If I said for your benefit that there was a fraudulent exercise where the opposition did not participate.
No, there was stop there.
And there was a winner. And there was a winner.
No. Now you see, you are having a mouthful. You're having a mouthful. Difficult to pronounce it. So, if we are going to help Uganda, and I've reached a level where I'm very, very crystal clear with what is wrong in this country. If you are going to help Uganda, it's high time the elite of this country stop pretense. If you witness fraud, call it fraud. If you meet a thief, call him a thief.
Okay.
But you say
you shunned an exercise, and you're here saying
no,
it was fraudulent.
How did we lose if we shunned? Don't be contradictory. If we shunned, did we lose?
You said we were reluctant to get into.
No. Forget about what I told you. You man, you have Rugambo. Now, what I want us as elite.
From the onset you said.
The problem, let me tell you, the problem of Africa, we are always let down by the elite. Okay? Who fail to pronounce things the way they are. They witness a dictator and call him a dear leader.
But the best way to handle this process, if you want to help your country, in which your children will mature, your grandchildren will thrive, let us interrogate the entire process.
Yes.
What was the NR? What was the register? NRM ran a parallel register. This one he has been ably describing, that we set out to invest in youth, parallel with the Electoral Commission. Electoral Commission does this, they also pronounce theirs. And so the entire country gets distorted, disoriented on who takes precedent. Is it the Electoral Commission or is it the NRM? And this is a plot. No, you are just a plotter. You plot, you obstruct, the national processes by your own party processes.
The final
and then you hide the opposite. You hide the registers.
We are so many. We move like a juggernaut.
No, you don't.
Honorable Mwanga, you may continue.
So the processes must be audited. Please don't invite us into debates that are.
I appreciate the necessity of interrogating what went wrong.
The processes.
That's a very good direction.
We don't want.
I have no qualms about it.
I don't want to investigate what went wrong. What should happen for this country to thrive, also to grow viable young people for the next generation.
And my question was,
the poor youth that you are proud of can never compete with the Kenyan youth.
My question to Honorable
and yes, they will live within the same space.
What next that would make 2026 more credible? And I thought that's valid, that's pertinent, isn't it?
First and foremost, you go back to the fundamentals. You want an inclusive society, and you want to see everyone to see himself in Uganda. You want full participation of all the willing. You want a non-violent process. You want the military and the street apparatus out of civic space. This is very basic. Out of civic space. Now, the whole process you are celebrating at a key junction was a PISO, a GISO, and a DISO.
And those are constants in every election.
No, what I'm saying, in fraud,
they are not.
They shouldn't even come near. Come near. And for you, you have normalized that.
No, I'm not normalizing.
You have normalized that.
I am not normalizing it. I'm telling you,
have normalized that.
That's a reality.
And you call it a reality.
So how do you surmount? How do you surmount these ugly realities? How do you surmount them?
And you're calling it
ahead of 2026? They have already shown you, given you a sneak peek into 2026. is going to be like?
Now, 2026, like any other election that we've gone through, you know there is a mountain Elgon. You choose to climb it. You must find a way. So we are going to an election full aware that it will not be free and fair. And give it to Dr. Kizza Besigye and now to Bobi Wine. Doctor called it consistently a defiance. We have called it a protest vote. So we are from the word go saying this is not a normal election. Now, the framers of the constitution and these who are in government should have been alarmed that how do we go to an election when a bigger chunk of the society is saying it defiance and another group is saying a protest. Shouldn't it worry you at the secretariat that you have a huge group participating in an election, one is saying we defy you, the other one is calling it a protest? Is that a normal country? And mark you, elections full dictators. And elections full of people who are obsessed in government. Bashir, here in the neighborhood, was toppled after where he won nearly 90%. Hussein Mubarak, was it of Egypt, has just won an election. Hussein Mubarak has just won an election by 98%. Go to Algeria, where all this started. A ruling party had just won an election. So, even in Yugoslavia, even in Indonesia, everywhere, where people have challenged the dictatorship that pretend to have elections, they always manipulate them and win them by resolute numbers. Therefore, he knows. He's been watching in other spaces where I've been having a discussion with you. They should never fool you. Never be fooled by outputs of an election. What we are saying is an increasing level of resistance. Increasing levels of people who are not even willing to go and register to vote. That should worry you. Okay? Potentially, you have 18 million people who are supposed to be on the national voters register. Who are there? How many people are going to turn up to vote?
And now you're confronting a group that says, come rain, come sunshine, we have to win. There is a disenchanted population on one side.
Now,
and
for you,
another force
you
that
are
wants
confronting a group that is determined to usher this country to chaos. These ones, being obsessed to power, they are doing everything now humanly possible to give Uganda a no option other than to choose violence. And we must condemn them. For me, that is the biggest debate. Is NRM today? Is NRM today, because NRM has a government, is industry has a moral obligation to set this country to prosperity and to a free
Thank you. You have a point of information.
You are sending us to chaos and disorder.
You have a point of information? Okay.
Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, the NRM has survived for these 40 years in government because it has a political thermometer. We listen to the people. We know every nook and cranny of this country. We talk to everybody. That's why we have those 30 people in every village, which you don't have. Now, how does that help us? That helps us to know that the people who oppose the national resistance movement are urban-based and they are few. And they have tried. So many attempts have been made to even use that option you're talking about. But they have failed. Does it intrigue
you that there is opposition in urban areas?
The governments of Hosni Mubarak, Gaddafi, and all these others you're talking about, they did not have the political thermometer to know what are the people saying. For us, we put our ear to the ground.
Okay.
The tactics we used in the bush, we still have them.
Does your thermometer,
listen to the people.
Does your thermometer give you a diagnosis of why there is opposition in urban areas and submission in remote areas?
Yes, because now the problem is Museveni. Because if you talk about transition and change, which is now the song of the opposition, there has been transition in local councils. There have been transitions in parliament. There is change of leadership. But there is an obsession with the office of the president. When is Museveni going?
Why is it in urban areas? Not in rural areas.
It's in urban areas because these are spaces which are easy to mobilize. Social media, unemployment, there are very many other social forces that make it easy for them to mobilize in urban areas. But if you are serious enough to go, for example, to Hunyoro, where I've been operating for the last 1 year, you find the people are very appreciative. All roads that have been built, they are very appreciative of the business across Lake Albert into the Congo. They are very appreciative of foreign investment and tourism. The ordinary person, Kampalans don't move. You don't cross Karuma. You don't know what has been happening for the last 20 years since
So
we ended the war.
You abandoned Kampala to go.
If you are confused, what do we do with people who don't know what they want? If you stay here, you don't know. Uganda is not Kampala. Uganda is Karamoja, Uganda is Acholi, Uganda is Busoga, Uganda is Toro, Uganda is West Nile.
You agree Kampala has
So
risen.
this exercise is a microcosm of what is going to happen come 2026. I'm telling you, NRM is going to get a landslide victory.
Yeah, but you've always won in youth elections.
No, this one is going to be overwhelming. I'm telling you the truth. On account of us having felt what the people need and worked tirelessly to address the people's needs.
What you never did then.
No, it has been incremental. But now we have game changers. PDM is a game changer. Emioga is a game changer.
Paula,
At all. Yes.
the writing on the wall speaks to a protest vote. While another section of the opposition calls it defiance, another one says we are into a protest vote. Do you think this is such a huge threat?
It's not, but I think even this conception are being really not put correctly. I have seen on some posters, especially the new Kampala woman aspirant, she puts it a protest vote. My understanding, my grammatical sense of protest vote, with the English I learned from Tare School. No, with the English I learned from Tare School is that we are participating in this election, but we want to vote against government or against NRM as a protest vote. It is not an understanding to mean we are not participating, because it seems we are taking it at the same time, that a protest means a non-participation. Here, there is a participation, but that don't vote for NRM. That is what I understand by protest. Defiance had almost reached a point of saying you are going to vote for nothing. We are not even going to participate. At the very least, I'm not going to offer my candidature. That's what Besige said. So I wanted us to be clear on defiance and the protest as perceived by NUP. They are two different things. Defiance that even if I participate, I won't see the result.
Do you want to be educated on what protest means?
Protest, well, that is, I told you my grammatical sense. And I want to be sure that I thought defiance, as portrayed earlier by Dr. Kiza Besige, was like a non-participation.
Can Wanga Chivumbe help you in a minute?
But
for you to understand what
why
protest
do you
means.
waste time?
Oh, no, I'm not wasting time.
But that picture of defiance is there.
Listen to me. Do you know what ghetto means?
Yes.
It has a different meaning, a social psychology that has changed from its English speak. So if you're going to equate the Queen's English with the Ugandan English, you're in the wrong space.
So put it in practice. Please. What does it mean in practice? What do the architect mean?
Okay, let the architect speak to us.
What do the architect mean?
About what?
When the woman MP of NUP for Kampala says protest vote, what does
you are near the answer.
I'm near the answer.
Any vote.
I'm correct.
Any vote against status quo is a protest vote.
That's what I said.
What has it always been?
No, any vote against status quo is a protest.
Yes,
vote.
That's what I said.
You are saying, I'm dissatisfied, I want change. But in Uganda's context, it doesn't mean that.
No.
It means the ground is unfair, is unleveled. We are going to ride against the tide. Correct. We are going to go for unfairness. We are going to be beaten. We are going to be harassed. But we will stand nevertheless.
So I still had the
despite-
microphone.
No. Get what I
You
mean.
wanted to know.
You wanted to know.
You finished the definition.
So what do you want to know?
Okay, back to you. Back to you, Paula.
So
Now you've heard.
I
These are
was
not
saying-
mere slogans.
They are not
Yes,
mere
They are
slogans.
loaded messages.
Correct.
it's a matter,
Coded-
you
coded
see, for me,
messages.
it is a matter of coinage. It is a matter of coinage. Whether you coin it protest vote or whatever you coin it, the point is that we were going to go for voting. Those who will agree with our point of view will vote for us. Those who don't agree will not vote for us. So those who will not vote for us, it doesn't matter the titling. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
we are going to...
it could turn around the odds of the 2026 election.
Yes. Now, I wanted to answer your question in also. You kept asking what is next, especially when the question what is next was emanating from the special interest group election, because that was the basis. For us, what is next is interesting. One, if you take it at the legislative level, their level, members of parliament, you find that we already have about 20 members of parliament. How? Because our structures come from the grassroots. The 90%, 89% that we have won will go to the next
You
level.
have 30.
Okay? We have 30.
Can I give you the
Yes,
30?
so
Let
we
me
already
tell
have
you,
30
you
members
have
of
10
parliament.
from
UPDF.
UPDF. Okay? You are sure there will be NRM.
Yes.
You have 5 women,
NRA.
disability. You have the youth. So when you add those numbers, you have 30 from the word go.
Anyway, I meant MPs who are NRM flag bearers. The area of the military, I'm not entering. But what I'm saying, what next? I'm still answering your question of what next. What next?
Ask Iraboni
At the
if you're
legislative
military
level,
and you are not
at
NRM.
the legislative
And you are not-
level, we already have over 20 MPs. Okay? Because for the youth, when they leave the village, the 90 or so percent, they'll go to the next layer, They will form the youth council. And whatever level that they will be, whether it is region, in northern, western, southern, or whatever, we shall win. So what next means at the legislative level, at the legislative level, we already have 20 members of
Can I
parliament.
ask you, Major? You've been around for the last 15 years. Tell me any initiative, any agenda that has been spearheaded by a women council, by the youth council. Just tell me one.
Your question is noted, but
Just
let
tell
me
me
have
one.
my floor.
No. I help him.
Just tell me
understand.
one.
Yes.
No,
One national.
we can't have a coherent presentation.
No,
This is-
it's okay.
Now,
We are
what-
talking about elections.
Our next, I've already stated for you, in the legislative framework, we already have members of parliament. But if you go down, even at the presidential or other elections like council or whatever, we already have in the village our foot soldiers, like the youth, 9. Or 5 for the party, but 9. We already have for the women as foot soldiers, 9. We already have for we have it. Therefore, going in 2020 for the election, the effect now is that the basis of the foot soldiers walking to the village to persuade, to market the ideology, the achievements of the movement are already in mass. And therefore, that already gives us an advantage over others, because we already have people who have stood in election, who are in the structures, but they're living in the population.
Something baffles me.
Yes.
You've had all these structures forever, but every outcome is always disputed as a stolen election.
Well, I can't talk about a stolen election. I was listening to him. You see, Kagwa, sometimes it puzzles me. If somebody came from planet Jupiter and is told this squarely, I don't know what his judgment would be. You have the entire West Nile. You have the entire Choli, the entire Lango, the entire Karamojo, where you have no polling assistant for NUP in all the elections. But don't you get surprised that in Agago, it is declared that Museveni has won by 70%, even when NUP doesn't have a polling assistant? If we are this fraudulent, why haven't we declared Agago 100%? Or why haven't we declared West Nile 100%?
or actually 100%. They don't have polling assistance. Why is it that the rigging is very selective? And again, if we're this supreme in rigging, how comes we lose a whole region where you have support? So do we select to rig even on this topic and 70% where you don't have an agent? Please, the idea of rigging should not be just a mouth talking. Let anybody talk with evidence. Even it goes to the youth that we are talking about. We are saying it is fraud. We are teaching children fraud. But nobody has gone to challenge even a village election in court to show how fraudulent it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Salam, yes. The roadmap is already rolling.
Yes.
How prepared is the opposition? If you are to do a very honest
listen, you must also talk to yourself.
No, I'm talking to you.
No, talk to yourself to understand the proper concepts. Ask about PFF, about NUP, about DP, about UPC.
Gone are the days where we used to have the opposition.
You are also disoriented. You are getting disoriented. Please, liberate yourself from that talk. It has been around us, and it's not helpful. Ask NUP, how ready are you?
No. Okay. We once had an opposition that would form coalitions towards elections, alliances, and have a common agenda.
So where is it now?
Where is it?
Please, that's not my responsibility. I have no registered party called opposition. Do you have it?
Does it worry you at all?
It doesn't worry
you're going
me
into
at all.
2026 scattered more than ever.
What is the scatter? Has this country been dissipated that I'm scattered? I have my feet on the ground. Ask me, are you presenting a presidential candidate? The answer is yes.
No. I need your general assessment of the opposition.
I'm not employed for that, sir.
No, you're into politics.
I
would like
am
you to
preparing
give your honest
a party.
Evaluation.
I'm running a party that I must be preparing for the general election.
The rest
as
is
a
none
weapon.
of your business.
Listen, that's secondary. That's secondary. I want to dissuade you from talking to us as opposition. None of us has gone to register as opposition. We have registered as parties with a fair chance to win.
Okay, do you think
if
odds were to change, it would be prudent for opposition political parties to have a discussion around the forthcoming election and how best or how better it can be sanitized?
And that discussion is happening, sir.
At what level?
At national level. You can ask Chivumbi, ask me.
What are the ingredients of this discussion?
Listen to him. Have you heard? When we are ready and authorized to speak to you about it, we will.
No, but when you check the general tempo, there is every impression that everyone is running their own show separately. And there doesn't seem to be a spirit of unity. Nothing brings you together.
There's a pool of interested political actors in every entity. That pool provides for us the raw material to deploy for elections.
Major Raboni, you've heard the opposition is in talks at high level.
But before you go to
would it give you reason to believe that, yes, indeed, the odds for 2026 could be different?
Oh, no. To be honest with you, there is a very big problem in the Ugandan opposition. The people of Uganda are watching, and they want to see alternative policy options. They don't see much. They see the opposition struggling to organize themselves into entities that can offer an alternative to the NRM, but they don't see that. The National Resistance Movement, through its sane and sober macroeconomic policies has made the economy grow above 6% per annum. Infrastructure is being worked on. Tourism is booming. Security and stability are guaranteed. The NRM is going to overwhelmingly win the forthcoming elections. So the special interest group elections are a microcosm aside of what is going to happen in 2026. So if they don't organize their house, I'm afraid it will be embarrassing.
Okay. Do you want to argue that NRM now is at its strongest ever?
Absolutely. We have our small mistakes on how we resolve in-house contradictions, but those will be ironed out. And as soon as we do that, I don't think there will be much competition.
Did Kawempe give you a clear barometer of where NRM stands?
Kawempe had some mistakes on many sides. On the side of the opposition and on our side, mistakes were made. And we are working very, very hard and quickly to cure those. But on the whole, looking at the whole country, we don't have much challenge this time around.
Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, the talk of coalitions and formidable blocs to put up a resistance against NRM in the forthcoming election.
Pick it where Honorable Musumba stopped, with you setting narratives of opposition.
Do you find it offensive to call?
No, first of all,
it's a misrepresentation.
It's a misrepresentation.
Where do you belong?
There is no party called opposition.
Yes, but there is
I'm a member. I'm a member of National Unity Platform.
And you belong?
No, I belong to a party called National Unity Platform.
Yeah, but in the construct, there is the ruling and the opposition.
Now, the context of, if you want to discuss between government and opposition, you should discuss collective, the people. Okay? Ugandans, there are those on the two sides are there who feel that they've been left out of the economic pie chart. Happiness, which my brother here paints, which is massive unemployment. Every single day, including today, our young people are boarding a plane, okay, to go somewhere in the desert and find a job.
In spite of a thriving economy.
In spite of a thriving economy. An economy that 10 trillion of our resources is stolen, and everybody read about that. An economy, between you and me, where the leaders have massively grabbed poor people's land all across the country. An economy where human rights abuses are given, military has taken a center stage. It is on the verge of a family rule where even NRM belongs to is a captured party. That somebody wants not only to be president, it is his brother, it is his son, his wife, and his Bakodomi that have effectively taken over government. And you and me are being rendered useless. That unelected person out there, someone's elected leaders, and you are saying that is normal. Ugandans are watching, and that's the country we want to be in. Nobody goes to a query here. You can say you go to their offices. They are not busy. They park their cars, leave home. But you go to somewhere in Igulu.
They are very busy.
You are not. You pass what traffic is there at NRM Secretariat? Pass there. Nothing. It's only this recently when there are people pitting flag that you can see some traffic. But that's why his issue is well polished. Has that one worked?
Very interesting discussion around the special interest group election is now drifting to what lies beyond. What kind of complex and onerous challenges have to be confronted from both the NRM and the opposition. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi is very uncomfortable lumping them together as the opposition, and so is Honorable Musumba, but nevertheless, I'll call them the opposition. Major Okwir, you've had, there is a sense that this time the opposition is coming in with a lot of vigor, more determination. Do you think the NRM can reclaim the areas, for instance, where you performed dismally in the central region, given the kind of enthusiasm from the opposition, especially NUP?
Definitely the NRM is going to do much better in central region and Busoga. Reason being, in the last 5 years, they have seen the operation of the NUP and other opposition political parties in parliament and in local government. It was dismal. So, having performed dismally, people have begun questioning the promises that were made to them in the last election, 2021 campaigns.
What have you done yourself?
Very many of those people are saying, Kumbe, these people were giving us empty promises. And this was accentuated with the rift between the gentleman from Masaka, Mpuga and Honorable Chagulanyi, and the other splinter groups that are emerging, and the failure of and for FDC, my friends in FDC, are in big trouble. Wow. I don't know whether they'll be able to reorganize in the next 6 months, but NRM is now primed and ready to take that ground and overrun these forces.
Honorable Saleh,
told lies in 2021.
I think this touches you directly when NRM says Busoga is on their radar. What's the reality check on Busoga?
Where do you live, sir?
I live here.
No, sir. You don't know the statistics that speaks volumes about the neglect that part of Uganda has been lumped into. If you were to compare Obote's Busoga and Museveni's Busoga, you'll be so ashamed. Let me just tell you about young people. UBOS has given to us statistics that Busoga has a population, has 986,000 young people between the age of 18 and 30.
986.
Yes. Of these, 687,000 have not gone to school.
Have dropped out or haven't?
Have dropped out of school, have not gone to school. It's a mix. Only 127,000 have some form of education. A place that has never had war, a place that has supported NRM non-stop, a place that is just a stone throw away from the capital. Obote's Busoga, statistically, economically, socially, was number 2 to Buganda. Today it is second last next to Karamoja. Those two Busogas do not make good news for this country.
Paula, how is the situation in North and what would it take for NRM to sweep, given the Balalo factor that is now raging?
The situation in the North is very promising, especially when you take in the context of activities that government has done and fixing it to the next forthcoming elections. And there are indicators to prove, especially from where they were or where we were to now. Economic indicators. You very well know that many interventions has been put in northern Uganda, reconstruction and rehabilitation. A lot of resources has been put in the area. But also the mere fact of the stopping of the war itself was a big investment, the unseen investment. The peace itself is the unseen investment. But other constant running programs across the country, like PDM and all these others.
How about the anger from the Balalo question, the unresolved Balalo question?
I'm coming to that. The Balalo question has been handled and is seen to be handled. The president has consistently issued, taken a clean position, a clear position, and implementation is in progress. But at least people see no bad faith on the side of the president. And a few days ago, General Saleh, him demonstrated by saying, if we have to demonstrate that the Bararo have to leave, I'm pulling out my cows. And remember, for him, this land was even a land owned by his wife, who was an Acholi. But he said, no, since these cows are associated with me, I am taking them. So it is work in progress. Now, among the other indicators is, me and Okwi participated in a negotiation with, was it 13 MPs? Or 15? 15 actually MPs who were, these people don't want the coinage of opposition. But I can say opposition because we call them non-NRM. That means independent MPs, FDC MPs, and others. We participated in a negotiation for them to come and work for NRM. So the fact that in Acholi alone, you can negotiate, in Acholi alone, you can see
You're
that
looking at the
15
Badege MP.
But how can you do politics without dialogue?
Come again?
You're looking at the Badege MP. What's his name?
Yes, Akol, Olanya, the man of Chua, all those.
Olanya. Did Olanya join you?
Olanya is in the negotiation. He was.
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Yes.
Gilbert, yes. So we are talking of...
I want to hear this again. Olanya is crossing.
Not crossing. Olanya is in a team of members of parliament and other chairman LC5 who are non-NRM, who negotiated with us to sign a pact to agree to work with NRM. Now,
Gilbert.
yes, now to agree to work, not to cross. To agree to work here means for him, and I think it is his few exception him, he will contest in his party to flag. But he agrees to work with us.
He will be supported.
In effect, it would mean that in the process, he will campaign for our presidential candidate.
Thank you.
So, but I wanted to say something, which I think I think I've answered you for the North.
No, I'm going to come back to you. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, when you look at the emerging dynamics, take for instance, in Buganda, like Major Okwiri highlighted, you've already had a splinter. The massacre factor has affected the opposition grossly. Do the dynamics favor you or work against you?
For example,
the test for that.
For example, they've just made a 50 million investment per constituency, which they hold under the NRM for Uganda. Wherever constituency they've gone, they've been giving a sitting MP 50 million to organize for them a crowd.
Organize a bash, a musical bash.
A musical bash.
And ride on that.
And ride on that.
Yes.
They've been giving 50 million per members of parliament.
Is it sanctioned from the top or?
I know.
It's mobilization.
The coordinator has been the Attorney General. He's been a chief guest for all those other things.
He's the Chief Muganda.
The Chief Muganda.
Make it simple.
They've just made a 30 billion investment in causing a split in Inup.
Wow.
Which I know will backfire on them. I know who is dealing with it. We know. And I can tell you it's dead investment in water.
Dead on arrival.
Dead on arrival. 30 billion just a few months ago. And we know who has taken. They've just made a huge investment in dismantling FDC. Okay? But in the process, they have now helped the opposition, Ugandan, to now clearly know who is on their side and on the and not on their side. Now, on what you define as opposition, that's why we oppose to it. Some of those groups pass as of opposition, but in essence, they have pacts already. I know.
Happily disclosed.
God is good.
All the time.
All the time.
God is good, and that is nature.
And then comes
Wow.
here and tells you, as you deal with the people, there are those who have pacts already and
To
are
work
willing,
with us.
and are willing. And these are many groups in Uganda. That's why now the nomenclature is go and put a one opposition and then create many. And that's why the opposition as one, you are afraid. There is no way lamp you up. Now, right now, as the election comes in, it will be more clear on what it takes, on what and who has gotten what. This time we shall name people.
Name names.
You are not Kagwanjala going to. The last time on a talk show like this one, I think I was with you. Was I with you in the morning breeze? Yes. I said this Mao here has been given money. There was an uproar. People wrote, said, you a liar, you've told. But I said, I know this one has been given money. He's going to go and join NRM. Even now we know the 30 billion you are investing. You think if we know, the people will not know. And let me tell you, in this country, the poor soldiers who carry this,
the loot.
the route, and they have nothing home. They are sleeping in a manyatta. That very evening they tell us.
30 billion has been sunk into a project.
In a project in Uganda.
To dismantle the opposition.
To dismantle NUP. And I know it. 30 billion.
That's huge.
It's huge. We know it. And it's going to fail. Because...
Do you want to share details?
No, those are details I've shared.
What more?
From
if you live
and
in
who
Uganda,
are the beneficiaries?
If you live in Uganda, I've told you. They've just made they've told you the 50 per constituency, and I know it. I know the other strategy is to stage some so-called independence. Okay, where they think the ground is so hostile. Stage an independent, and the dummy of NRM fund an independent. Who will even dress in Salama's colors. If they think the constituency of Salama is more PP, they will sponsor an independent who will be putting on your colors and abandon and give an NRM. We know what the script.
So you're saying NUP has been infiltrated?
No, I've just told you.
Secret.
It's not an infiltration. If we know, then they can infiltrate us.
You mean you don't know? How old are you?
You get it? So,
Of age.
what I want to tell you, no, those elements are no longer NUP. Good enough they have left. But there is a 30 billion investment in them. I can show you a document that was put to someone's office, and I have a copy of it. This thing. Now, the good thing is, in doing so, now what he is revealing, that you have an Olanya who has already signed a pact. Okay, and he says, I will stand on the other, but I will work with you. Okay, deception. Those kind of things are not going to help. That's the worst thing you get of a decaying political order.
Okay.
Is that NRM, with all its purity, has been reduced to those manipulations. That's not a mark of a strong movement. It's a mark of a movement that is failing. Now, what we are dealing with...
Okay, Honorable Mwanga, for the viewers, by the way, we're switching to Afro Mobile now, and many thanks to the